My lords, excellencies, eminencies, ladies and gentlemen. Like the liftman, I have had my ups and downs in life. But today, seeing one of the most admired friends of Ethiopia on the steps of the Ethiopian embassy was something special. Can I first of all call His Excellency Ambassador Dr. Haile Mikhail Avara and his wife, Her Excellency Mrs. Abdevich Zendeka, to officially welcome you. Thank you.
Hello.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ethiopian embassy. This embassy is over 100 years old. We are the first African country to have an embassy in the United Kingdom. This is great. We attach very great importance to our relations, excellent, cordial relations between our two countries. Welcome. I'm so delighted to see so many distinguished guests, parliamentarians, travel writers, tour operators, journalists, businessmen. You're all welcome. And Julie Green.
I'm here.
What a person. A shining example of hard work, commitment, dedication, all her life. A great interest in photography, and it has brought her to Ethiopia as well. We thank you so much for giving us this beautiful book, and this beautiful book tells a lot of history in a very interesting way. Through pictures, it's amazing. It's more than words. Thank you. It's about Ethiopia, its past and present. Remember, we are an ancient civilization. Christianity came to Ethiopia in the 4th century AD. And to be exact, in 330 AD. Before that, we had a long history of Judaism. And then Islam came in the 7th century AD, about 630 AD. All these centuries in Ethiopia, these diverse religious ethnic groups have lived side by side in harmony, peacefully, all these years. And Julie has captured in her book these important features of the country. So you have mosques. The oldest mosque, probably in the world, is found in Ethiopia. When Muhammad, the Prophet, sent his followers over to Ethiopia because they were persecuted in Arabia there. The Ethiopian king received them, who gave them shelter, and allowed them to practice their religious beliefs. The mosque is near Maqdala, one of the northern cities, which Julie visited and took pictures. That one is amazing. And then we have the oldest churches in the country. North, south, central, eastern part of Ethiopia. She's been to all these places. And above all, we have the peoples and cultures of a country of great diversity, which has captured that as well. And this is amazing. And this is telling in a very fascinating way a whole history, life of people in different parts of the country in her book. So I would like to express my gratitude on behalf of the people of Ethiopia, whom we love very much. We thank you so much again. Julie's love for photography is as I said, right from her childhood days. And what determination to pursue her interest. I'm sure there were other lines of development, but she chose photography. And this is, as I said, a great example of commitment and dedication that we can all learn from. The presence here of Joanna Lumley. Can you step in my side, please? Let's give her a hand. She's a great friend of Ethiopia's. And she loves the country, the people, everything Ethiopian. Again, another shining example of interest in other people, indicating how we all belong to the world, living together, sailing together as people of all the world. And this you see in Joanna, actress, activist, celebrated TV personality, good friend of Ethiopia, as I said. Special thanks to you, Joanna. I want to seize this opportunity to encourage you to go to Ethiopia. Look at these things physically and see how hard Julie also worked to produce this. Ethiopia, a land of composers dating back to the 4th, 3rd century AD. Music, art, sculpture, which you see in her book. Languages, we have over 85 language groups in the country. Compare this with Nigeria, which has 250, so by that standard, 85 is not. But it's the diversity. So when you go to visit Ethiopia, you will see and probably track in the highest peak, which is 17,000 feet above sea level. Can you imagine that? Very close to God. 17,000 feet. And then you have the lowest below sea level, 250 meters below sea level in the Rift Valley. The Rift Valley cuts across Ethiopia, dividing it into two parts, the Western Plateau and the Eastern Plateau. The Rift Valley is full of Rift Valley lakes. And in the Rift Valley lakes, around the areas, you have birds. So if you are bird watchers, then go to Ethiopia and enjoy watching birds. That is, if you haven't been. I'm sure so many of you have been to Ethiopia already, but those who haven't been there. So the diversity is amazing, all living in harmony, as I said. It's natural beauty, mountains, rivers, lakes. We have the Great Nile that provides all the water Egypt needs particularly, and partly also the Sudan. And the Ethiopians are always very peaceful people. They want to share the natural resources with all their neighbors. So we want to use the River Nile, we have built a dam, not for irrigation, but for producing electricity. So water comes into the dam and leaves generating electricity, nothing else. And this electricity is for all of us, for Sudan, for Egypt, for Kenya, for Uganda, for Tanzania. Lines are underway, construction, and some of them have already got the electricity they need from Ethiopia. So, thank you once again. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Joanna. Thank you, lords, members of parliament, artists, tour operators. Thank you all. Let's put our hands together.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Joanna Lumley was once asked by a travel writer, what was the most amazing country you visited? I think you remember what you said. I think the most astonishing country was Ethiopia. Over here, we only ever see Ethiopia connected with starving child and begging bowl. We think that it must be sand and failing crops, but Ethiopia is lush, verdant and mountainous. It is crossed by rivers, lakes and streams, and it was more animals than you can imagine. It's got phenomenal mountain ranges and rough roads. It was absolutely beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together to the one and only Joanna Lumley.
Thank you so much for such a warm welcome, and Mr. Ambassador, thank you so much for allowing me to speak in the oldest African embassy in London. It's a pretty cool first, I think. I can't make a secret of it. I absolutely fell in love with Ethiopia the second I got there. I had read about it a bit, as you always do when you're going to make a documentary, but I was completely unprepared for the just dazzling slam in your face beauty. Julie's captured this. I mean, one of the greatest honours of my life is to be asked to do a tiny foreword for this book. Because what Julie has done in the book is to capture the things that I hoped I would have seen and didn't, and that have sort of lodged in my mind and made Ethiopia a country quite unlike any other I've ever visited. Well, for a start, it is unlike any other, because Ethiopia is so confident, so ancient and so grand, that it has a completely different diary and timetable, as most of you know. It is so extraordinarily ahead of everything and unnervous and relaxed about its own position that it has a kind of script and writing that is unlike anything else in the world. You can tell it at once, but you still can't read it. It has the most delicious food. It has the most stupefying views. I took photographs. When you're being filmed, it's very difficult to have time to get your camera out. But up in the Simien Highlands, I just had to take on my mobile phone some pictures there. And my screensaver, so the first thing I see every morning is the view, which is actually in the book, of the Simien Highlands, ludicrous mountain ranges, with the great monkeys and the apes running there, and the extraordinary valleys and verdant green things, beautiful huts. I could have photographed there forever, and thank goodness for us, Julie did. What I love so much about this book is that I don't know if you remember in long ago days, probably before, certainly darling before you were born, but in the old days, when the cameras, in the cinema, it used to suddenly widen out to Vista Vision. And on things like Round the World in 80 Days, they started off in black and white and then it went into colour. Well, Julie's done that in this book. But the black and white pictures are fascinating because they contain the essence of Ethiopia. You can smell and feel Ethiopia there. You may not have been there, some of you. Many of you will. I think the best thing I can say is let's all go back next year. Thank you.
I ask Her Excellency Mrs. Apovich to present a bouquet of flowers from Ethiopia. Talking of which, do you know something? Only one company, Morrison's, imports 35 million, repeat, 35 million stem roses from Ethiopia every year.
Well done.
So you go there and buy Ethiopian roses. Right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. The biblical saying, all good things come to those who wait. Our friend Julie has waited over 40 years. I waited 3 years. And today we all are going to observe her coronation. Julie Green.
Well, I'm definitely unaccustomed to public speaking. I spend my time, if I can possibly do so, behind the camera, not in front of it. However, Your Excellencies, it is amazing to me to see so many family, my husband Malcolm, 45 years, all our 4 children, hands up, and their spouses, and even 2 of our grandchildren. Step forward, Theodore. Where's your brother? Joshua? Oh, well. As well as many friends and also many lovers of Ethiopia here tonight. I'm so thrilled that my book is being launched at the Ethiopian Embassy. My very sincere thanks go to Ambassador Dr. Hanimatul and Mrs. Zeki Oweki for the wonderful hospitality and support of the book at all its stages, particularly latterly. Above all, my huge thanks to Mulugeta Asratikasa, who has been tireless in his enthusiasm and help towards this book right from the very first moment 3.5 years ago. We would not be here if it wasn't for Mulugeta. I'm so happy that my great friend Joanna Lumley shares our love of Ethiopia, my love of Ethiopia, and not only wrote the introduction, but has come today to give the book an enthusiastic send-off. Thank you very much. My enthusiasm for Ethiopia was born when I first visited in 1969, commissioned by Ethiopian Airways, to photograph the wonderful churches, mosques, people and scenery of this incredible country, the cradle of mankind. It was not until 2013 that an opportunity came up to return. Step in, Malcolm's cousin, our cousin, Michelle. When I found the country, monuments and people in 2013 were as dramatic and as welcoming as I had remembered. Bringing a selection of the photographs from these trips into a book has been a journey that started when I first met Max Scott of Gilgamesh Publishing.
Over here.
Max Scott. Max. 3.5 years ago. Giving birth to a book has pains and tribulations along the way, but finally, huge excitement and unbelievable wonder. I never could have believed it. So many people have contributed that I can't mention them all. But particular thanks to Max, who has nurtured this book from inception to completion. And to Charlie, Frank, David, Oki, and the many others who have helped, given help, unbelievable help, terrific help, advice and support. Only 2 more sentences to go. And finally, to Peter Burgess. Where's Peter? Peter Burgess, not at the back. Believe it. Peter, come forward, please. And for Peter Burgess, for nursing me through the surreal rigours of design, especially when there came a moment to call the midwife. Peter was there, and also for organising the wonderful printing by Enrico Sabatini of Graphicon in Verona. And finally, my thanks to Prince Aklili, grandson of the Emperor, who is here this evening, who contributed so hugely to the actual putting together the finance for the book. I'm extremely grateful. I hope you all enjoy the evening, the delicious Ethiopian food, and that the photographs in the book will inspire you to visit Ethiopia, that wonderful, wonderful country.
Thank you very much. We've got a bouquet for you, again, flowers from Ethiopia.
No, fantastic.
And I also asked Her Excellency, Mrs. Abdovich, to come forward and give something special to, where are we? Joanna Lumley, where are you?
I'm here.
I'm sure you love coffee.
I do.
And this is Ethiopian, specially brought for you from Ethiopia. And we've got we have coffee for you. Absolutely coffee. But are you a coffee drinker?
I am.
Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, can I ask you to just... And let's have a word of thanks from the publishers. Max, would you like?
Hello, good evening and welcome. A huge thank you for coming. I follow some very distinguished speakers and a very emotional story, how we got here today. There's something about Julie that effervesces, and in the, I don't know, the toughest moments and the best moments, it was always fun. It was always laughter. It was always something special, and I think that comes across in the book. Something I'm incredibly proud to have worked on, and I think of 1969. The figure of Julie standing, you know, clasping that little colourful tickets over there, going on a DC-10 possibly out to on a newly formed DC-3, a newly formed airline, Ethiopian Airlines. It was in
69. Just a babe.
I know. Newly formed airline, just a few years old at that point. The Ethiopian Airlines out to Africa, an incredibly brave and interesting kind of voyage. And these pictures that take it right back to His Imperial Highness Haile Selassie there on the opening pages. He was a visionary kind of chap. He can't have foreseen that close on half a century later we'd be printing those pictures alongside fresh pictures that are just in the last year or two. And it's an incredible collection. I hope you enjoy it. do think of getting a copy. there's a stand at the back. We take payment and you can get a signature, and I hope you enjoy it as much as we've all enjoyed working on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, how many of you have traveled to Africa?
Raise your hands.
Very good. And when I say travel, I mean flights, not private.
Sail.
And how many of you have traveled in number one, Africa's number one airline? And how many of you know Africa's number one airline? Ethiopian Airlines, going from strength to strength. And they want to present, to seize this opportunity and present presents for both Julie Green and Joanna Lumley. And to do that, I have Mario. Mario, please come here. Mario. Thank you.
Good evening. Yes, I'm Mario Mansiglia, sales manager of Ethiopian Airlines. I am supposed here to say a very few words about the airline, but I cannot avoid saying a very few words about Julie, who came for the first time into my office 5 or 6 years ago. I didn't expect her, and I see this lady carrying heavy bags and coming into my office without previous appointment. And I didn't know who she was, honestly, and she started showing me this wonderful material, photographic material. So my interest immediately changed, and I gave her all the attention she deserved. And while I was looking at those pictures, she started telling me her amazing story. That she had traveled in 1969 with a ticket given by the manager at the time, and she had taken all those pictures, and so many years later she wanted to give back to the community and to everybody interested in Ethiopia this in form of a book. And I immediately thought that she deserved to be helped. It wasn't easy, Julie. No. We took 5 years, probably, and minimally.
Don't exaggerate.
And minimally we helped, but I'm proud of being part of that wonderful project. And this is a coronation of Julie's stubbornness, determination, and patience, and she deserves all the good she might have with this book.
Thank you to Mario. Mario believed in the book from the very beginning.
Good. Like Ethiopia, Ethiopian Airlines are very proud of our history and heritage. And we are delighted to celebrate in 2016 the 70 years of dedicated and highly successful air transport services to, from, and within the African continent. For the last 7 decades, we have been at the forefront of aviation technology leadership in Africa and have introduced many new aircraft and systems to the continent. We have opened a world-class maintenance facility and aviation academy in Addis Ababa to empower the next generation. We have also expanded women's presence in the industry like no other airline did. 2 recent all-female flights represent only one of many initiatives to foster and promote gender equality on the African continent. Ethiopian joined Star Alliance, the world's largest airline network, 4 years ago, and is currently implementing a 15-year strategic plan called Vision 2025 that will see it become the leading airline group in Africa. Ethiopian is a multi-award winning airline and has been registered in an average growth of 25% per annum for the past 10 years. Ethiopian commands the lion's share of the Pan-African passenger and cargo network, operating the youngest and most modern fleet to 92 international destinations across 5 continents.
Did you say the lion's share?
70 years is a long time. But Ethiopian is still young, strong, forward-looking, and ready to contribute its own share of an integrated, prosperous, and peaceful Africa. We are very excited to continue to lead the 21st century aviation development in the continent of Africa, and we hope that we can welcome each of you on board one of our aircraft soon. Thank you very much. This is a little present for Julie. Joanna.
Thank you very much. And now we come to the end of the speeches. And now a taste of Ethiopia. Can I ask everybody to allow the 2 ladies to go and start the buffet? And we'll follow you. Please make way. If this is your first time, can I suggest that you use your fingers, because we don't use cutlery. This is special. Because Adam and Eve never used forks and knives, so we followed suit and we use it. It's a very good experience, but if you don't, there is forks and knives. Thank you very much. Enjoy yourself.